Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Lighthouse Sessions. And in today's session, we are having a very, very special episode. First and foremost, we have my dear friend Emanuel coming back. And secondly, we are going to focus on the Nevada business scene. So, shout out to the great state of Nevada. And Emanuel, why don't you tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Oh, thanks, Jeff. I always enjoy being on your show and appreciate every conversation I have with you. Let's see. My company is called Strategic eMarketing, and we've been involved in B2B marketing and AI innovations for about 17 years now. And we take people who are AI curious. We build systems for them that sometimes are black boxes, but produce the outcomes they need in order to be competitive in the marketplace.
I love that. And I just want to say a special shout out to my friend Texas. I see him wandering by. I don't know if he can hear me, but hi, Texas.
Yeah, he likes to be on the pods too.
It's not a good show unless Texas makes an appearance. So thank you, Texas. So let's talk about B2B, and I'm going to get you to expand on that a little bit because I'm actually finding people who go, I don't know what that means, which if you're in that space and you don't know what it means, it kind of scares me. So when you talk B2B, who are you referring to? What kind of businesses? Give me some examples.
So yeah, B2B being business to business. And so that could be it could be a manufacturing company that makes covers for painters that paint airplanes, or it could be a fence company, or any number of other things that businesses need, a cleaning company for office buildings, any kind of service provider like an accountant or graphic designer. Those are all B2B examples.
I love it. And you and I are going to have many conversations about this because part of this series, I'm reaching out to businesses in Nevada that serve other businesses. And one of the things I find absolutely fascinating is how many seem to be invisible. Now, this is probably not something people of the good state of Nevada can relate to, but in Canada, where I live, we have cold, wet winters with lots of snow. And my favorite B2B is the person who drives around and replaces the carpets at the entrances to buildings. Everybody forgets those poor guys, but they know everybody.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? These pivot businesses that make sure that we're all safe and happy during the seasons that we deal with. The HVAC companies are another one, right? Especially out here in Reno. That if you have a restaurant, your air conditioning goes off, and you don't have a good quick responding contractor, you're not going to have people eating in your restaurant for long.
I spent a couple of nights in Reno one hot August, and they it was when they had the car show, and they weren't kidding. Hot summer nights, it's real, and yeah, you don't want to be indoors without the air conditioning. So, let's talk about what you do because I think there's two things we can pull apart. One, you build AI systems that help people grow, and I'm going to pull that apart. We're going to talk about that a little more because it's such an understatement. There's more to it than that. And we're also going to talk about the systems to get. We talked before we hit record about the speed to lead situation because in the old days, people called someone and they expected a call back within 3 to 4 business weeks, and it was okay. Now people are expecting instantaneous.
Yeah, and that is true both in a direct to consumer situation and in a B2B situation. And then there's some interesting quirks about B2B too. So it's one thing that's interesting is the first company that a B2B buyer talks to has a 78% chance of getting the contract. So not only do you want to be fast, but you want to be first if you can at all figure out how to
Yeah.
make that happen.
Well, and I think that's the thing a lot of people miss is, especially in B2B. I mean, I've been there where the lights go out or the air conditioner dies. It's not just a comfort thing, and a couple of people are inconvenienced. It's the entire office, or it's a building in a lot of cases. So first of all, let's pull apart the AI piece, because I think we can tuck that in nicely and then come back to the speed to lead. A lot of people out there with less gray hair than you and I would convince you that they can build agents that'll solve all your problems, which ironically cause more problems. So what do you and your team do that's different, and why should people talk to you rather than go on TikTok and find the first smiling face?
Ouch, that's a pretty low bar, Jeff, but that's okay.
You'll jump way over it. I know that.
There's a few things. Number one, philosophically, I am always looking to maximize the human connection in any engagement, and so we're going to always leave the human activities around relationship building and continuance of relationships to the humans, and then we're going to automate the things that the humans either in that business or just in general are not good at. And so that's the biggest distinction, is that I come from a position of human psychology and knowing that we need each other to survive, and that we want to build relationships with people, and then we want to make sure the job gets done and our KPIs are met. And there's places for both the human and for the software in that sequence.
I love that. And I think that's where you and I come at it first, is relationships first and then automation. And I think as we apply this, and one of the things I've said to people, and I had this aha moment, it's easy for people looking in to copy what you and I do badly. And unfortunately, it's that confidence that I had somebody said, "Oh, I figured out your secret." And
No,
I'm like, it's not my job to protect you from you, but you figured out 1% of my secret.
Yeah, that's funny. And so that's one of the things that I break. I put my secret out right here. It's in my latest book called Rank and Cited. And I talk about the modern marketing campaign, from human psychology and an ideal client profile all the way through the entire content creation process for a vertical to the point of agentification in that process. So I lay it all out there and say, here it is. If you just learn these 15 disciplines, you are going to be a genius marketer.
I love that. And you and I have had many conversations about understanding who we serve. I think one of the fundamental things, and what I've seen in you, and you and I've talked about many times, is the deep understanding of who we serve. And I think that's the TikTok mistake. Most of them go straight to everyone's a client, and therefore generic content wins. You are focusing on exactly who somebody serves. Is that fair?
Yeah, and I'd say the other thing about this new generation of marketer is that they're very transactional, and they're a lot of these. I mean, 90% of these companies will drop and blow away in 12 months, and so and the gray hairs know that, right? I mean, the people I'm talking to are not getting distracted by the TikTok people. Right, they're what they end up doing is not taking any action because they don't have people they can trust, and so that's what puts them behind in this AI race that we're in right now.
And honestly, I think that is the biggest damage, the biggest cost of AI right now, is the mass confusion and the mass hysteria. So let's move past AI, because I think you and I can have episodes just on how AI applies and how it can make life better when you're doing it with the intent of serving actual intelligent humans with some skills. Why is speed to lead becoming so important today? What's changing in the Nevada business landscape, or are we just being reminded that this was always here and now suddenly we have better ways to track it?
Yeah, I think it's that there's better ways to track it, and I think there is some amount of commoditization in everybody's industries, right? There's lots of players now, and so what used to be I'll get back to you today was good enough, and then it was I'll get back to you in the next 2 hours was good enough, and then it was 30 minutes, and now it is within 5 minutes. And the difference between getting back to somebody in 5 minutes or in 30 minutes is a 21x multiplier.
Wow. Okay. So you earlier said 70 some percent go with the first of contact. What's is the drop off is actually whatever the inverse of 21x is?
So this differential is that if you, because there's a number of vendors, if you're able to get back to an interested prospect in 5 minutes, your likelihood of closing that business goes up by 21 times.
Wow.
Over 30 minutes. So you're only talking about 25-minute differential there. So that's the challenge of the self-educating buyer, right? If I need a new accountant, I'm going to go online. I'm going to do what I do, which is do a ChatGPT search or a Google browser search, and then I'm going to go and look and see who's got the 4.8 and 4.9s and 5.0s. I did it with a computer repair guy yesterday. And I was like, no, I don't want the 4.8. I got 3 4.9s to choose from. Who answers their phone? So I had these 3 potential vendors. The one guy was, oh, please message me by text, and I'm really busy, blah, 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 blah. The other guy, I called, they answered. I said, bring it on down. Let me take a look at it. Guess who I went to go see?
I find that actually quite amusing because I think, before we had Google reviews, it was, you talk to your neighbor over the fence and say, hey, who fixed your computer? Now I think people are, they want instant and they're getting impatient. So what are some of the things working with you? How are you helping people be that first? Because yes, you can make the phone ring, but how are you ensuring that somebody actually answers on the other end? Because I think that's probably the first break point based on the numbers you're sharing here.
Yeah, I mean, the first thing is to say, we have a receptionist who answers the phone on the second ring, and they have been there. She have been there, and they're very knowledgeable and they know how to triage. If you don't have that, then the voice AI that we have access to now and that we've deployed is outstanding and is able to do a follow me campaign to whoever they need to talk to if it's something that the voice AI can't answer. The chat bot on the website obviously is another critical place. That's an AI driven chat bot, not a dumb bot, but that it is something that's being supported by Claude Code or something that is dynamic. So those 2 first points of contact are pretty typical. And so we, depending on the temperament of the business, will help to I have clients that are said, no, we want a live person to answer phone. All right, that's fine. I love it. What about after hours? What do you got? And usually they're like, well, it goes to, I don't know, actually. And so, again, way better than a call service or an answering machine is the AI agent who can take that call after hours at 5:45 p.m. and text a calendar invite to somebody if that's what they want to do, or answer questions, or set up a call back for the next day. So that's the first part, is that first point of contact, and then building out an entire system to speed up the process by which the human needs to enter information, get data, create a proposal, and get that delivered to the prospective client. And we can take something that is a 48-hour process and turn it into nearly instantaneous, and definitely within the time frames that need to be speed to lead in order to be competitive.
I love that. And I think, I'm always sympathetic. I think that I forget what they call it, but the Olympians who run the 100-meter race, it amazes me that their entire life comes down to hundredths of a second in a 10-second race.
Yeah, and they train hard and for a long time to make that happen.
And I feel like we're getting to that point where, our attention span is going to be 20 seconds. And, I realize, like, for me personally, I don't make a lot of business decisions too lightly, but I also do make them quickly. And I think that's what we need to recognize, is that people need to be clear on what you do, who you do it for, and how they connect with you. So I think, and it's interesting that we can differentiate now with intelligent, because for the record, I hate when people call those moronic chatbots that glitch all the time agents. Those aren't agents.
No, that is not. And typically, there's too many gates on those agents also, right? Like, I'm sorry, I'm not putting in my first name first and then waiting to then enter in my last name and then being asked what my email is. No, that's engineering side. That's a gate at that point. What I need is to get a link to the whatever I'm trying to find out and get an answer to a question. And we're impatient because there's lots of options.
Well, and I think I come from a world of sales, and the phrase that I've always remembered is that a confused mind never buys. And I would say further that a confused mind doesn't stick around to see if you become less confusing. Like
2.6 seconds. That's what you got to get their attention. Our attention span now is less than a goldfish, literally. Goldfish, you got 6-second attention spans.
You think they're mocking us? Or
well, they should be. The TikTok brain is a real thing.
Love it. Well, let's talk a little bit about what it's like to work with you, because for what I know of you, and we'll have another conversation about turning processes into software. I think your systems as a service is genius. What is it like to work with you? How does somebody come into your ecosystem? What's the 2.6 second experience for them?
Yeah, it's very focused on what the outcomes are that need to be produced for that in that situation, and building out this idea of quick wins and getting some immediate ROI for marketing, so that the work that I do will help to pay for the cost of the work that I do, and I call that a self-healing system. And so we build that into all the software we create also, is that it's a self-healing piece of software that's constantly assessing itself and bringing up suggestions on how to make it better. So that's the first thing, is that really, really clear focus on KPIs and on growing the business. And then to look and see what the already existing processes and concerns are, and how we can make backfill for things that are where people are not good at it, they don't have staff for it, or they just don't like doing it, and take away the stuff the humans don't like to do, and continue to develop what they do like to do.
Well, and I think you and I have had many conversations about that piece, because whether you and I use the exact same terms, I think we both treat marketing and sales as early onboarding. You're shaping behavior, you're guiding people. And I find it fascinating. I talk to a lot of salespeople who somehow get cold inbound leads, which the whole thing hurts my head, because why would I want cold inbound, just people who don't know what I do, and then you're trying to guide them through. I think good marketing should make it very easy for somebody to raise a hand and say, I have this pain, who solves it? Is it that simple, or am I oversimplifying?
Well, I'd say I would agree. Good marketing will produce those kind of outcomes. And that's where I think you and I are very similar, in that we like the boring fundamental stuff, and continue to layer on complication as the fundamentals are cared for. And marketing's job is to say, tell me more. And then sales process is to set up and qualify both the client to the company and the company to the client to make sure that it's a good fit. And if it's not a good fit, then I got a Rolodex full of people who are doing similar things. I've talked to 450 agency owners in the last 5 years, and I can send you somebody who's going to match if I'm not the match for it.
Well, and I will attest that your Rolodex is golden, and you've sent me some really, really cool people. So, and I think that's one of the things I respect the most is you're confident enough to say, this is who I serve. When I've reached out and said, hey, can you help this person? First thing you say is, I don't think so, but try these 3. I think that's a sign of a mature business when you can say, we know who we serve. My head explodes when somebody says we serve everyone and we could do everything. And, you need copywriting. We got that. You want website design? Sure. AI agents? Yeah, we can do that.
Well, it's tough. I definitely fight myself on doing all the disciplines that I have experience in, and being focused. But at this point, it is critical to be able to say, yeah, that is something we're really good at, and these other things are things that we're going to send away to somebody else who's really good at it.
Love it. Now let's talk about who you like to work with, because we started with B2B, and really that's tip of the iceberg. And there's many ways I'd slice and dice that. But how would you describe somebody that would enjoy working with you, that you would enjoy working with, and mutually beneficial? What size are they? What are your favorite industries?
Yeah, I'm a psychographics guy. I really find that it takes a certain type of business leader, CEO, managing partner, manager, whoever it is, somebody who is who knows that they need help. That's the first psychographic that I really appreciate in a client. Just like I don't do my own legal work, I get an expert for that. And so the psychographics of it, they are AI curious. Maybe they've had some deployments that have been initiated and didn't work out, which is fine because we can help to rehab those. And that they are able to bring their team together and be a leader inside that team, and then pass that leadership authority over to me and to my group without the micromanaging. I mean, we've worked with a lot of industries. I really like manufacturing. That's where my background is. But the B2B sales process is very similar in every industry, and that's one of the things that I laugh about when they're like, well, our industry is different. Okay, yeah, there are aspects of it that are different. I 100% accept that, but we are always talking to humans. They are self-educating. They are looking for answers to their problem, which we have to identify, and then we create a proposal for them with timelines and KPIs and costs. and those fundamentals are unchanged in any industry. The complexity of it changes depending on the size of the project, but that fundamental is the same everywhere.
Well, it's funny because I'm a psychographics guy as well, and I go deep into that. But as a business coach and with my background in finance, 80% of business is identical across the globe, across every industry. And it's the details in the 20% that truly make it different. But I find it funny because a lot of people either overemphasize those differences or they completely ignore them. And I think that's where you and I have our most fun conversations. I'm sure you've heard my left-handed dentist rant, but if you look at, believe it or not, Google it, there's a thing called left-handed dentist associations in the US. I never would have thought about it until my son was born left-handed. And I'm like, that kid's got to learn everything twice. First, he learns it right-handed, and then he teaches himself to do it with his dominant hand.
Yeah.
It's a real difference. However, if you look at a left-handed dentist versus a right-handed dentist, 80% of their business is the same. It's just they have to use the tools slightly differently.
I love it. Well, and I had a couple of really good friends growing up who were left-handed, and so I did a lot of research about that, and it tends to be very much smarter people are actually left-handed than the rest of us. So it's kind of interesting factoid.
Sadly, though, they also have a higher mortality rate.
The dentists or the lefties?
Yes, both and both. Ironically, left-handed people tend to die in car accidents more frequently. There's a statistical variance because they're doing everything backwards according to their brain.
Yeah.
So,
oh, wow.
So I'm trying to learn how to drive left-handed to teach my son, and I think those stats have dropped now that we have manual transmissions. But back in the day when you had the stick shift, it was actually a noticeable difference in left and right. But again, that's the kind of weird stuff you and I debate and rant about, because if everybody says I serve dentists, and you can come along and say we help left-handed dentists, and here's why. You don't need to sell to a left-handed dentist. You just convince them you understand their life, and they will buy tools, whatever, from you. So,
yeah, the stratification, that's what our dream is. And as marketers, and we've been able through technology to get the stratification to happen much quicker and with much more clarity, and tune our messages much better. So it's an exciting time to be a marketing professional, but marketing is now as complicated as accounting. There's no question in my mind.
well, I can't help but think way back when, during the first Gulf War, when the oil fields were on fire over in the Middle East, there's a man named Red Adair who had a very stellar reputation as a firefighter, and he was the guy you brought in when an oil field was burning. And he famously said, if you think it's expensive to hire an expert, try hiring an amateur first. And that has stuck with me. It's always backdropped with him in the oil fields of Kuwait, as he's capping off a well. But I think now, like, if we've got 2.6 seconds, I mean, seriously, how do you even measure that in real time? There's a lot of pressure. And way back when, in the good old days, pre AI, they joked that you could be as far as page 3 on YouTube, or sorry, on Google, and that's where you could hide a body, was page 3. I don't know that I reached the bottom of page 1 anymore.
Well, no, and that's where the change with answer engine optimization or generative engine optimization has really affected SEO and digital marketing, because we have, especially if you're on the Google environment, you got the Google answer that's coming out from Gemini, then you got the paid results, then you got Google Maps, and so yeah, how would you ever get down below that? Because you have so much good information as an end user to make a decision. So that's a good thing and a bad thing. And for as marketers, it makes Google, I think, even more important than it's ever been in some ways. As an end user, I love it. I have no problem with it. It's great. As a marketer, I hate it because I have to work that much harder to get my message in front of the people I want to see it.
Well, the thing I'll point out is that you do the work, which is the difference, because I think, when Facebook ads first came out, you could watch a 20-minute tutorial and all of a sudden, hey, look at me, I'm managing Facebook ads. I think we're going to see those people finding new career paths because they're not going to do the work or not going to know how to do the work.
Yeah, and we're entering a strange time also in that the education system is generating a lot of people who are using AI to get their degree,
Yeah.
And so they don't have the foundational understanding of these activities that they're involved in. So we're losing some learning, and then the AI coding is helping to eliminate a group of AI developers, and there's fewer and fewer people who know the foundation of the activities for each of these subject matters.
Well, it's funny because I've got two teenage boys. I'm teaching them the fundamentals. It's like you can't learn AI until you understand the system underneath it. And I just did it because I'm cranky and I was tired of watching people say, here's the easy button. And then my aha moment was, if they don't know how it works, how do they fix it when it breaks? Because you and I both know something's going to break.
Well, we know this from philosophy, is that there in every situation there are threats, there's opportunities, and there's obligations. And if you just take the cotton candy route, then you're missing out on some functions of reality, which is the obligations and the threats, and it will bite you. You and I both have been bitten enough to know that's true.
Well, it's funny because I grew up around old farmers who, they'd sit there chewing on their toothpick and they'd say, boy, you're going to hurt yourself. Trust me, don't do it. They'd let you do it. And then when you're laying on the ground bleeding, they're like, did you learn a lesson? I didn't make that mistake twice.
Right. That is the function of dirt time. And the people who raised us were willing to let us have our dirt time. And I'm concerned that some of the parenting habits of the modern humans have worked to eliminate that, and where you have the idiocracy.
That occupies my nightmares at night, is idiocracy. I don't know if I ever told you this, but when I was young, I was probably about 10. I told my dad I was going to quit school and go off and be a bull rider or a bronc buster in the rodeo.
Yeah.
And old farmer guy, I can say this now, he's passed, so nobody's going to call child services. He didn't miss a beat. He grabbed me, threw me on the back of the nearest animal. The cow bucked me through. I actually broke the corral with my ribs. Landed face down in cow poop and dirt. And he's like, get up, brush yourself off. Can you breathe? Okay.
Yep.
Are you still want to be? You still want to be? And I went, nope. And he said, okay, don't tell your mom, go clean up. So dirt time is huge in my world. And
yeah, no, it's true. Those reps are the ones that help to determine how good you are at something. And in that situation, it's making decisions.
Yep. And for what it's worth, I learned respect for a 2,000-pound animal, because up till then I was like, I'm the boss. No, I'm not.
No.
All right. Well, Emanuel, I want to be mindful of your time. For those who are in Nevada or beyond that want to reach out to you, how do they learn more about what you do? How do they connect with you? What's the next step?
Yeah, you can track me down in probably any form by typing in Emanuel Rose or EmanuelRose.com or strategicEmarketing.com. And love to have a conversation. Love to hear about what you're into and how I can help with the marketing journey or the AI journey and participating in your success.
Awesome. Well, on behalf of my audience and on behalf of all the people I'm hoping in Nevada are going to watch this and want to reach out to you, I want to thank you and, of course, Texas for being on the call with us.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Jeff. It's always fun to talk to you, and I appreciate having me on the show.